Hi everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zurcher, and I am in the last sort of stage of finishing the second sphere, and I felt totally stuck. This video is what I then did, and the process that I often take when I'm feeling completely overwhelmed, unclear as to where I'm going, and a path forward. So if you've ever felt creatively stuck or just overwhelmed, I hope that this will encourage you to just keep moving forward. Now turn you around and let's get started. You know, I'm hitting a wall. I'm just sort of like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. Do I want more metal mesh? I'm not sure. So here's what I decided to do. I thought, that's okay. Take a breath. And then I decided to make a paper template of this area right here, just this. And I'm going to make another one for this area, and I'm going to make another one for this area and here. And then I'm going to put these on a flat surface and use them to start thinking about some kind of layering of materials. I then found this. This started as a collage. I then added stitching to it. You can see there's a lot of stitching. I'm still not loving it, but the colors really look well with this. I'm going to cut this up and insert it in here, along with some of the other things that I've got, and I'll go from there. But that feeling of, I don't know what I'm up to. I have no idea where I'm going with this. There's this big area that needs to be filled, and I don't know. I always say just take one small step, the easiest step. So for me, it was to make a paper template, not a wire template, because I don't know that I want more wire in here. I've got a couple of pieces of wire, and that's fine, but I'm not sure I want to do more. Maybe I will, but in any case, for now, I'm going to work with the paper, and that's my next baby step. That's something that I can just do right now. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I have my paper templates. I've got 4 of them cut out, and this is kind of it, and I'm going to now work with this one first, and then I'll figure out the others. This is my template that I'm going to work with, and I have to sort of look at where it fits. So it goes in between this whole bit of rooted woven art material that I've put in here, and then it's going to go in like this, and it'll end up being close to this. I might start with 2, because then 2 actually abuts this, so that might actually be a better idea. So here's 2, and it's going to go in roughly like this. All right, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll work with this one, and then I'll make my way over. So I have to figure, so I've got a whole bunch of leaves here. I've got some maps. I've got my rooted woven art material here. I need it to just kind of slide into this. This is what I've got left of this linen, where I had all this different stitches that I was demonstrating years ago, and this is that big map piece that I cut all apart, and I've just got scraps left, which is another reason why I think feeling a little bit like what's next. You know, I have bits and pieces of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all this out and then see where I'm at and start making a kind of collage using that first template, which is this. It's a weird shape and it's long and skinny. I do not think I'm going to cut this up for this. I'll cut this one up for the larger one, which actually I think is 3, and maybe use parts of it for 1. For this piece, yeah, I don't know. And the other thing I thought of doing was I don't want to abandon those words. I want to keep putting in the words that have been removed from federal documents, and I want to keep incorporating those in throughout this whole sphere. So I do want to keep that in mind as I move forward. I made a fusible, water-soluble, using that water-soluble stabilizer. And I was thinking I could use, not this piece, this is all the wrong colors, obviously, but make another one using some of this material. And then when I did the machine stitching, stitch in one of those words and use that. So maybe that's my next step. This is what I do. When I'm stuck, I think, what is going to be my next step? And if I have no idea, which I really didn't, then I ask myself, what is going to make this easier? And that's when I did the templates. That was going to make it easier. So now I have the templates, but what's my next step now? And this is a weird shape. So I could mess around with this and try to get something going here. But I'm also feeling kind of inspired to use some of this material in that water-soluble stabilizer and then free motion stitch one of the banned words, which I can use. Well, I could use in this, but I could also use it in one of the others. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Next steps. Doable baby steps. This is not what I have gotten in the past. I'm not sure what the other one was, but it was not this. But having said that, there's something actually kind of great about this, because I can use this paper pattern, draw the shape on here, and then put all my different things in, and I'm going to have this shape. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I use that water-soluble stabilizer. It's like a plastic. It's weird. I don't like it as much as the fabric one, so I bought more of the fabric one. But this is where this is going to go when I wash it, and it's just this little strip here. So that's fine. And I wrote, I don't know if you can see it, but it says "at risk," which are one of the words that is being removed. Here it is, using that template and using that water-soluble stabilizer. And my plan is to wrap this cord around the outer edge, but I don't want to do that yet until I've filled in this piece, which is, I think, number 4. So maybe I'll do that next. Then I'm going to do this one. And then I'll do this. And I don't know if you can see, but it says "at risk." This is the final template cut out and stitched together. So now I wanted to figure out what kind of hand stitching, if anything, I'm going to do on here, and then do it before stitching anything more down. I think what I want to do is add some leaves here. These might be too precious. I think maybe I need something a bit more organic, also maybe smaller. So I could add that. Maybe I just put a circle instead. I feel like it needs something in here. I've also got some stitching. That actually might be better. I've got a bead, wrapped bead. I could add that. This is this cocoon. I could maybe paint this so it's not white. That could work. I don't know. That's something like that, which I could cut more of this out so it's not taking up so much space. I don't love it though. I have this little guy. I'm not loving any of this. It's too big. This one is actually the best, I think. So maybe I add that. Here we go. I'm going to add this little guy. I've painted some leaves on here, and I'm going to add this trellis stitch here. I'm going to hand stitch these guys in, and I'm going to machine stitch these two. To adhere this, I am using Painters. It's a number 8 hopper pearl cotton, and I'm using a chenille, and I'm just making little French knots, 2 wrap French knots in between. I think this is a scroll stitch. And also I did machine stitching here, and I stitched down this trellis. So once I have this done, I think I'll add it to the piece, and then I just have the one really big piece left. You can hear someone's car alarm going off in the distance. This technique of using these templates has really helped sort of push me forward and gave me a direction. And that's the thing about when you feel like that thing of, what am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. What do I do next? It can feel really overwhelming, and that's why a little problem solving can go a long way, sort of analyzing what the problem is and then deciding, okay, what's going to make this easiest? And then trying that. Sometimes, I'll think of something and it won't be the easiest, and I'll end up having to take the whole thing out. But usually I hit on something that seems fairly straightforward as a solution, and then I can just start doing that. And that usually pushes me forward and out of whatever rut I'm in. Baby steps. The next doable step. What is that? And if I don't know what that is, then what could it be? I kind of brainstorm before I do it. I want to show you something kind of interesting. All right, so this is a trellis stitch, right? And do you see how flat it is? And then this is a trellis stitch, and this is much more in keeping with what a trellis stitch should look like. And the reason is because being left-handed, I often will twist it in the wrong direction, and that's what happened with this flat one, as opposed to this puffy one. Kind of interesting. I don't know, maybe right-handed people get confused and do that too, but I this is something that happens, I know, for me. When I was learning, I'd get confused, or I'd forget, and I'd just start doing it, and then I'd think, why is it so flat? And that would be why. All right, so now I've got this big piece here, and I've got a lot of stitching in here. So I'm actually not sure, and I have stitching up here, so I'm not sure I'm going to do much of anything in here. Maybe just add something. Maybe this is where I add a little leaf. I don't know. I've got 2 of them. They're kind of cute. And the colors sort of go with that, so maybe I put those sort of there. But I'm not going to do anything until I've stitched this on, and then I'll place this and look at it, play with the leaves, see if I like it. If I do, I'll stitch them on, and then I'm going to add the whole thing. A quick update on where I am. By the way, I thought I'd have finished this by now, but no, that's okay. Patience is a virtue. That was something my father used to say. One of the most impatient people in the world, by the way. Patience is a virtue. Okay, so here's what I've done. I have this, as you can see, it's not attached, and this is attached on this side, but not here. Let me pull back. What I did was I took this material from Rooted Woven Art, and it is, it's silk sari fabric that she's dyed this lovely, lovely kind of wonderful mustardy color. And I machine stitched it to one edge here because this here wasn't really easily fitting without pulling it from the frame, and I need it to come here to fit. So I figure I'm going to stitch this down here. This gives me a little leeway. I can then couch this if I feel like it after I've stitched it down, but for now I'm just going to stitch it down and see where I'm at. And then before I stitch this down, because I have learned my lesson, why stitch this down when I'm attaching it to another piece? I'll wait and attach it to the other piece. But so far, so good. I decided to go ahead and couch this with this pearl cotton from Painters because it comes together a little bit more than I thought it would, and so why not? So I'm just couching with the same thread that I've been using here. You know, this is that thing of going with the flow, being flexible, having an idea, seeing that it's, you know, my idea was that I was going to stitch this down and then maybe couch it later. But when I saw that it was meeting up so that I could couch it and stitch it at the same time, I thought, why not? So that's what I'm doing here. And the only thing I want to be aware of is that I want this sari material to lay on top and not get buried. So that's the one thing I'm kind of keeping in mind as I go around and do this. But otherwise, I think this is working out pretty well. To end, I just want to reiterate how I began, which is to say that even the smallest, tiniest little step forward is momentum. And that's good enough. It's okay not to have it all figured out. I'd love to know what steps you take when you're feeling that moment of, I have no idea what I'm doing next. Whatever that might be. Go taking a walk. That also is one of mine. Go take a walk. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Thanks so much for watching.